Mechanical and musical minds here. Today we are going to be looking at the setup and rigging of a Force 5 sailboat. So before you start, you need to make sure you have everything you need. So after you get your boat, it'll come with a mast. It'll come with 3-piece mast. So you have the base piece, the midsection, and then right here is the top section. Also, you'll have your silver boom. You'll also need your sail, which is designated for the Force 5, and you'll need your lines. Now this is your main sheet. It's very, very thick and usually white, and we'll talk about the other lines later. So first what we need to do is we'll need to set up our mast. Now, as I said before, the mast comes in 3 pieces. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to take the base of your mast, and it's better to have it over near the back of your boat. So just lay it down on the ground, and then get your next piece. And these pieces have little couplers on them. So all you'll need to do is you'll need to slide it into the hole in the bottom of the mast. So we'll just slide it right in. And then same thing with the top mast. Now, my setup has a small hole at the top. This is so you can attach a halyard, which is the line that would pull up the sails. But usually this is not on here. This is a special rig for it. So when you get your boat, it'll most likely not have one of these fair leads on it. So then we gotta look down there at the little metal piece on the mast right here. And we need to line up the this top piece of the mast up with that. So make sure it's all turned the right way and slide it in. Okay, you can cut now. Then you'll grab your sail. And the sail is pretty bulky and it has a window and thing so you can see through. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unroll your sail. And find the bottom. So here I found the bottom here. It'll have the little eyelet here and then the actual sail pocket. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take the sail pocket and put it over the top of the mast. And then it's easy. You just pull it down the mast. And sometimes it'll get a little clogged up. You're going to have to unroll it a bit more. And then keep pulling until you get it up to the boom connector right there. Okay, so once you have pulled the sail all the way up the mast, you are going to want to look over the sail, make sure that there's no holes or anything. Just overview the whole entire thing. And after that, you're going to want to position your mast for raising the mast and sail. Now, this is a little hard to do by yourself because this is a 20-foot mast. It's pretty heavy. So what we want to do is get some leverage. We're going to want to pull it up and move it over so it's next to the boat, leaning up against the stern. Then we want to go towards the middle. We want to pick it up and pull it. Sorry, I keep this stuff. Pull it forward and then push the rest of the way. Now, after this, you want to check all your connections in the mast. Make sure everything's still connected nice. Then, what I do is I will get up onto the stern of the boat and I will grasp the mast and lift, put it, pick it up, then put it into the hole and raise the mast up hand over hand. and you want to wiggle it around until it slides into the hole. Just like that. Then we'll just twist the mast until this is facing back. And that is the mast all raised. And you can look way up there and you can see how the sail sticks out from the mast. Next, what we're going to want to do is you're going to take your boom. And this is the boom here, silver with lots of blocks hanging off of it. And blocks just means pulleys. So in the end here, we have a small hole. And that hole will slot into the pin on the mast. So we'll lay it up in the boat and then put it in the hole like that. There. Now that's it. Now find the back of your sail, and there's an eyelet right here. Right here. And before you hook this onto the boom, you need to make sure, if you're in windy conditions, that your boat is always facing into the wind. Otherwise, your boat might tip over. So we're gonna bring it back here, and we're gonna find the hook. There's a hook on the back of the boom, and then we'll lift up the boom and put it in the hook. And now your sail and the boom is connected. Now, before we can start sailing, we have to do some rigging. And the most important thing to do, to think about on a sailboat, is how your rigging is done. But always remember that these are not ropes. These are called lines. And first, what we're going to do on the Force 5 is we're going to rig our main sheet. Now, usually there would be something on this track here called the Traveler, and that would go into this hole here, and this hole here with these little hooks. But the previous owner had to take it out because it was not working properly. But if you do need to do that, you can just put a big old O-ring right in the middle, and that'll work just fine. So first, we're going to want to take our line through the little loop here and under the ratchet block. And it's called the ratchet block because as you pull it in, it ratchets. Then we're going to go up through the aftmost block on the boom, and aft just means back. So we'll pull that down. Then we'll go up through this block on the bottom here, pulling through all the way. And then we'll go over the forwardmost block, pull down, let some line through, and then tie it off on here. Now I know that people in the comments are going to criticize me on my knot, but I just do a regular overhand knot. And put that in. Now our main sheet is rigged, and what that will do is when we pull this, it tensions the boom and makes it so the sail will stay in place. So we can look here and you can see how the boom goes down. And then there's a little hook here that you can just put your rope into and it won't come undone. Right here. And then if you want to let go, you just pull it up and it let it out. So the next thing we're going to look at is the boom vang. And this is the part that keeps tension on the boom so it doesn't fly up in your face. So on here, because there's a lot of blocks here on cables and such, and all we're going to do with this is we can see right here that there is a little bit of there's a little hook here. And we want to take this line out of here, that's our Outhaul, we're going to pull that tight, and we're just going to push this through, like that. Now that's there, and now this can hang like this. Now, this green line here is our vang, and it goes right in this firstmost cleat. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of maneuvering to get it through, but once you do get it through, you're going to run it through this block here. You run it up this side, pull, and then you're going to run it through here, back down, and then I'm going to go through here, Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. You gotta go up. Under, and then up through here. There you go. Through this block here. Down through this block. And then over this block. And through. And now, untangle the line. You have a boom vang. And one of the most important things to remember is on your lines, you always want to tie a knot at the end. So then, if somehow it gets undone, it's going to not go all the way through. So then we'll take this line here, put it on the other side of the boat, walk around, and then maneuver it into the cleat on this side. It definitely does take a little bit of bending, maneuvering of the line, but once you get it through, it's good. And you always want to remember to have your ropes or lines, burned on the end so they don't fray, which is very important when you're sailing. So then we get it through, tie our knot, and then our boom vang is complete. And how this is used, we'll just tighten this up. And then if we pull this, you can see how the boom gets tensioned. You can see here how it let go. Now it's just gonna stay in there. So we'll pull this boom vang, pull it really hard, and now this is nice and low. And now we only have 2 more lines to do. Now, this boat is a little bit different from like a sunfish or a laser because they have much easier rigging. This gives you a lot of mechanical advantage because this boat can go fast. So first what we're gonna do here is we're gonna rig what we call the outhaul. And that's this pulley right here. And there's a line inside of the mast, inside the boom here, sorry. I don't think I can get it, but there's a line in there. Oh, you can see it right hanging down right there. And what it does is when we pull this, you can see that hook will slide on its track and it goes back. And you do need a lot of leverage to move like that. So we'll just take our line, put it through the cleat, nice and easy, through the cleat. Here. Now, I always try to have a pair of pliers with me because it makes it a lot easier to get these through. Go through this fire lead here, up through the block. Okay, so you've got it through the block, just put it through the other fire lead on the other side. And this one is gonna go into the middle cleat here. Now, what you do, you have to rig in order. So you always start with a boom vang because it's always the first cleat closest to the center of the hull, and it should be in line with here and the mast. So the closest cleats to there. Then your outhaul just goes here on the second one. And that leaves room for the downhaul, or as some people call it, the Cunningham. So then we'll do our one last line. And this one last line will be this orange color. And we'll put it through the farthest cleat from the center of the hull. And what I always do with this is I always have it like this, and I bend it up like this, clamp it for a second, so then I can put it down through and then lift it up. So I can get my fingernail down there and try to get it up. Okay, so once you've got it through the cleat, you just go out through the fare lead and up through this hole right here in the sail. Pull it down through the fare lead here at the bottom, and then cleat it to the farthest cleat there. To recap, here, our line here that goes up and onto the boom here, this is called the boom vang. Our white line here that goes up and into this block here, right here, this is called the outhaul, which remember goes down to the back of the boom and tightens the back of the sail. And then our orange line here, called the downhaul or the Cunningham, goes through this eyelet, and that applies pressure down on the sail. So it'll pull it tight this way. So after you've done all that, you've rigged your main sheet, make sure your main sheet's tight. We should now put on the tiller. Now, the tiller is quite a large piece of wood or fiberglass, and with some metal parts here, and most of them will have this tiller extension. So we'll go back to the back of the boat at the stern here. And if it's not up on a trailer like mine is, you're going to want to take this here, pull your tiller handle back, and this will pull up, and you'll hear it click in. Next, we'll take it up, and there's this pin here that pushes. And then there's these two metal things here. So we're gonna tip it over, make sure it goes under this white line here. Under the white line. And then we're gonna wanna line up the pins back here. It's hard to see, but you'll push down on the pin, put it into both places, make sure it's pushed down, line everything up. Push it down, and then it'll click into place. Okay, now that we've got it clicked in place, we can now take our rudder, and this is usually once you're in the water, and we'll just push it down until it reaches the bottom. And then this is just used, and you pull it back and forth, and you can see how the rudder moves backwards and forwards, and that will take the boat and move it that way or that way. Remember, if you push the tiller towards the sail, you're going to turn that way, the opposite direction of the sail. So you want to turn left to go right, and turn right to go left. And now, there's just one more thing we need to do until you're ready to set sail. So this right here is called the centerboard. And the centerboard goes right down here in this little slot, and it will slide all the way down. It can't slide down right now, but it will slide all the way down into the water. And now this is a very, very important piece because it creates friction or drag against the water, so that then when you have your sail really tight with your main sheet, really tight enough, what's going to happen to the boat is you're going to do something called heeling, which means your boat goes from upright and starts tipping over sideways. And that is normal. Don't be afraid of heeling, but that's what's going to happen. And if you didn't have the centerboard, you would just flip right over. So what the centerboard does is it creates a push against the water to counteract the push of the wind against the sail. So then that is how you set up and rig a Force 5 sailboat. And another time I will be doing a video on launching and taking down the mast, the rigging, and how to put everything away safely so that it'll last you a very, very long time. So, if you like content like this and you want to see more of it, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye!